Business Morning, and you're welcome back to Opening Bell on Channel 254 DSTV, 17 Go TV, and of course 748 on Free TV. I'm Nnamdi Obanya. Now, Enugu Air has been launched, but now the worry for most people is, will it last? Will the airline become a success? Will it meet its desired goals? Or is it set to become like Imo or Cali Air? Let's get into it. 7th of July 2025, dignitaries from far and wide, including the Honorable Minister for Aviation and Aerospace Development, the heads of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, the Civil Aviation Authority, and more, gathered as guests of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, Barrister Peter Mbah, to witness the launch of the state's carrier, Enugu Air. And of course, for now, we have to add operated by XEJet. Remember that? It will be important soon. For now, we are sure the airline is operating, and Enugu has joined Akwa with Ibom Air and Cross River with Cali Air as states operating their own airlines. But many are skeptical and wonder if this is not a white elephant project, doomed to be remembered as a monumental waste and debt-incurring scheme, rather than a source of pride and revenue for Enugu. And the fears are very, very valid. Many people first noticed and remarked on how the airline did not have a digital platform for direct bookings, but rather anyone who had to book a ticket was directed to the platform of XEJet. Remember them? And they are a premium airline service provider, and that's where you have to book your flights. And this is where the worry comes from. A particular quote comes to mind at this point, and it's from Georgia Santayana's writings, The Life of Reason, from the series Great Ideas of Western Man, which was printed around 1905. And the quote is very popular. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Of course, Winston Churchill will later repeat it and make it more famous, but I digress. What I'm saying is, nobody wants to repeat history, and the history of state-owned airlines in Nigeria is checkered. I'm not even talking at the federal level, where we somehow grounded and destroyed the legacy of Africa's former top carrier and turned it into a picture of shame and a manual of how not to run an airline. Of course, I'm talking about Nigeria Airways. But leave Nigeria Airways and let's even hit state level. Enugu Air is not the first state-owned airline to launch in Nigeria without a clear operational strategy or licensing structure. 2 state governors have previously launched airlines prematurely in the past, only to have them grounded equally swiftly. Former Imo State Governor and renowned statue builder, Owele Rochas Okorocha, launched Imo Air, and Prof. Benedict Ayade, former governor of Cross River State and possibly Prof by nickname alone, set up Cali Air. So let us begin in Imo. In January 2027, Owele Okorocha, then governor of Imo State, created a buzz when the airline's first aircraft landed on the 24th of January at Samumbakwe Airport, Owerri. Now, Okorocha at the time said it was one of 5 planes to be expected and that the fleet will be managed by Dana Air for 10 years before the state will take over operations. Just like Enugu Air, Imo had no operating license of its own, but Governor Okorocha explained that the state partnered with Dana Air due to its track record and planned to grow the airline independently by 2018. He also promised the airline will transform the economy of Imo, provide jobs, position Imo as a green state for investment after Abuja and Lagos. 8 years after that historic landing, nothing has been heard again from Imo Air. Then there's Prof. Ayade, who boasted that he was going to break the monopoly operated by certain airlines in the region and also provide unrivaled access to the residents. Cali Air also did not have an operating certificate, but Prof explained that aero contractors would operate the airline for only 6 months when Cali Air would get its own air operator's certificate, adding that the aircraft was only on lease to aero contractors. By 2023, there were no visible operations, just a 900 million naira debt to aero contractors and an inactive website that couldn't take bookings. So people are worried that Enugu Air is taking the same route as previous state-owned airlines. Enugu Air stated that XEJet Limited is only managing operations on its behalf until it secures its air operator certificate and other necessary approvals from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. And this was backed up by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Management, Mr. Festus Keyamo, SAN, during the launch, where he stated that Governor Peter Mbah told him he was not willing to wait 2 years for the AOC and decided on this plan till then. So, is that enough evidence that Enugu Air will not end up like Cali Air and Imo Air? No. However, since we are talking of history, let us talk of an argument that supports a success story. Let's talk about Ibom Air. Run by the Akwa state government and also started in 2018 without an AOC and had to depend on Dana Air's operational clearances. Today, it's arguably the most efficient domestic airline in Nigeria and has consistently scaled up in fleet, routes, services, and quality. There's also a division of Enugu Air from Imo Air and Cali Air that is very obvious: strategic planning. Imo Air was launched without any partnering strategy. It was just a standalone mega project like each of the mighty statues Owele Rocha Sokorocha constructed in Owerri. And just like the statues, it has no value except as a thing of pride and aesthetics to the state. For Cali Air, it was even worse. The governor launched it at a time where we saw a rollback on activities that had made Cross River a tourist delight. From totally ignoring Tinapa to allowing the Obudu Cattle Ranch to begin to die a slow and painful death, to curbing the climax on many people's calendar, the Calabar Carnival. It was mind-boggling how tourism could be throttled by the same governor that was trying to launch an airline. Who was going to fly it? Enugu, on the other hand, has a grand MICE and tourism strategy and agenda. From reviving the International Conference Center and Hotel Presidential to the concession of Nikkei Lake Resort to the Landmark Group to the revitalization of natural sites like the Ohun Waterfalls to construction of the longest canopy walkway as well as construction of a 5-star hotel and an aggressive security drive to make it the jewel of the Southeast. Added to that is the government turning cultural events like the August Meeting and New Year Festival to carnival-like events, as well as the mega concerts that now take place in Enugu City at the end of the year. And you can see that there is a destination Enugu agenda. So Enugu is building a large, frequent, and consistent customer base for Enugu Air. And except for any form of self-sabotage or harakiri, the airline seems on course to take off and soar to great altitudes. But we'll wait and see, and I'll leave it at that.